All right, welcome everybody to the client support webinar for May 17th, 2023. All right, let's just quickly do an audio check and a visual check to make sure you guys can hear me and see my welcome screen, make sure all the technology is working there. Okay, let's see. Just want to make sure we get a few people. Looks good. All right, let's go ahead and get going. All right, excellent. So today, I'm going to cover a few administrational items, and then we're going to run over and take a look at the scanner. I want to take a look at the MTF. We got a few questions on that. All right, before we get going, a little bit about our disclaimer. We want you to realize that there are risks involved in trading. It is possible to lose some or all your money trading the financial markets. I think we all know that by now. Therefore, you have to assess the risk and also to trade with money you can afford to risk, called risk capital. Any of the stocks recommendations we talk about today, please run those by your financial advisor or money manager because we don't know your personal situation, and of course they do. We deal in a realm of probabilities, not guarantees, so past performance does not guarantee future performance. If you need help with the risk control aspect of your trading, or you want to learn more about our software tools, then grab one of our books, okay? I've got a new book coming out called The Art of Trading coming out this probably at the end of this year. My publisher, Wiley, over at Wiley Press, really does a great job, and they're putting everything together. It's going to be a beautiful book. A lot of good new information, and a lot of new information about our software will be in there as well. I've also got a great book on money management for traders regarding risk control, so you may want to check that out, and you can check out our other books as well. All right, software, I've been doing this for 30 years. Software has been around for a long time. There's been no need to change it because it is what it is, okay? Recognizes high probability patterns. We have it for entries and exits. We have the ART, AL, PTF, TLM, and ERI available to do that, and they go right on your charts. Then we have scanners, and I'm gonna go over the multiple time frame scanner today, and then we have risk control software at the bottom as well. So definitely keep that in mind. All right, so let's jump out of here. And let me just see, we got a lot of people here today, so I just want to, let's see, Gene left me a note here. Is Van out there? Do we have Van? Van, are you there? If you're there, go ahead and answer in the questions window, yes. If not, I'm gonna go ahead and field your questions. Oh, great, you're there, excellent. So Jeannie wanted me to talk a little bit about the multiple time frame scanner. And so I want to go over that. So let me just start out doing that. Now this is NinjaTrader, but it also works on TradeStation as well. And so all my scanners are loaded up here on the Market Analyzer, which is right there. All right, so the Market Analyzer is NinjaTrader's scanner. All right, so that's what you have to know first. And then our software loads inside their scanner, which is what you're seeing at the top there, all the rainbow colored things. So this is the trade confirmer, which is telling us the OWL, PTF, and TLM. And I have it set up to look at daily charts. Okay, so it's only looking at daily charts. And then I have the Elliott wave as well, looking for wave 3s and wave 5s. And that's on the daily charts as well. And then we come to the multiple time frame analyzer. I love this scanner as well. All right, so this scanner is 3 columns. It has a short column, an intermediate column, and a long column. And basically what it's doing is it's scanning multiple time frames for you without having to have the charts loaded. And it's looking at whether there is a trend or not on those time frames. And so I have the short time frame set up for a 60-minute chart, and that's our chart over here. So this is a 60-minute here. And then I have the intermediate set up as a daily, and then I have the long term set up as a weekly. So it's kind of giving you a glimpse at what's going on those 3 time symbols on the one symbol, which happens to be AMC, which is over here. okay? So that's basically what it's doing for you. So it's kind of nice. Now, notice it's doing that for the entire list of stocks I have in here. So I don't have to have the charts open, okay? As long as I have that symbol loaded into the scanner, it's gonna check the trend on all three of these time frames. So that's kind of cool. So what does that do for you? Well, it gives you a quick visual on what's going on each time frame, and therefore you can either decide to look at it or not. And also too, it's saving a lot of your computer resources. So you don't have to have all these charts open. That's a big deal. All right, so let's just see what it's telling us, okay? So I'm gonna focus, all right, on this first column up here. So right up here, AMC, okay? So let me just circle that first. All right, and then we'll take a look at it. So on the AMC, it's a stock, all right? So on the short term, it's showing us a bear trade as possible. And the reason it's doing that, it's looking at the trend, all right? And then it's looking at indicators down here to see if they're bearish or not. And okay, they are, right? So that's a bearish trend in place. Now, if you have the art software too, you could have gotten in early on this, but that's okay. Right now we're looking at this. All right, so there's the bearish trend. So that's bearish. Now, if we look here on the next one, there's no trend on that top. And that's because it's not really trending. It's going sideways. And if you look at that, you've got a green owl and a yellow. So the signals are basically kind of flat. There's no real urgency to get into that trade. Then let's take a look at the weekly chart and see what that's showing us. Well, the weekly chart is no trend either. And the reason for that is we got a bullish here, we got bullish divergence here, and now we're starting to move sideways. We're finishing a downtrend. Okay, so there's really no trade there to speak of. You're too late to get into the 60, and yet at the same time, this is kind of neutral and this is kind of neutral. But here's the deal. As soon as this turns green over here, this is going to show up as a long-term trend emerging. All right. And then when it pops out and you get one of your pyramid trading point entries, then that can be a long. So keep looking at this, wait for the long-term trend to turn bullish, as it will say trade, bullish trade, and then you can consider it, okay? And then of course you wanna make sure the lower time frames are not bearish. As long as they're neutral, you wanna take a trade on a certain time frame. You can do that as long as that time frame is either bullish or bearish, depending on the trade. So that's basically, in a nutshell, the beauty behind the multiple time frame scanner is it's looking at all three time frames in one scanner on NinjaTrader. All right, any questions on that? All right, does that answer your question, Van, how that works? So the other thing too, okay, great. So the other thing too, you can also be picky. You can set this up, all right, to be really strict, medium strict, or not so strict. I've got it set on medium strict, but these are all variables you can change, and you can change the time frame. So if you're a day trader, you obviously don't care about looking at a 60-minute daily or weekly. You want to look at the intraday time frames, right? So you set those up. We have those running also for our futures markets. So if I go to the futures markets, here are the micro futures. So I've got the turbos, I've got the short, intermediate, long-term scans going on the following time frames. Let me just throw this over to the M2K for a minute. But on the M2K here, the short term is going to be the 15-second chart. The intermediate is going to be the 1 minute, and the long is going to be a whopping 5 minutes. So all these variables you can set up depending on the type of trader you are. And it works on futures, it works on stocks, it works on ETFs. Basically, any data that you're able to get into your Ninja platform, it will work beautifully on, okay? So that's kind of the whole situation behind that. Now, let me just go over the settings if you don't mind real quick. Let's go over the intraday settings. So if we go to columns, all right, you got to be a little familiar on how to, how Ninja works. And if you're not, no worries, okay? Because Mark, when you buy software from us, we can install it for you and set it up the way you want, okay? So we can do that for you, and then once it's set up, it's set up. But the idea here is, here are the settings down here at the bottom, all right, called short, intermediate, and long for the multiple time frame scanner. So if we go to the short setting, here are the variables you can change. So it's set up for a 15-second chart, okay? Let's take a look and see what that looks like for the intermediate. The intermediate has a 1-minute chart, see? And the long has a 5-minute chart. So all these variables, you can change. They're not set in stone. So if you want to change them to a daily, a range bar or whatever, you can do that. You can click in if it's a 5-minute chart. If you want a 2-minute, 3-minute or 4-minute chart, you can put that in. Okay, whatever you want. Now let's go to the position ones. Let's go to here and go back and take a look at the ones on the longer term situation. And here is a situation where if we right click, you're going to see the same columns. And if we go down to the multiple time frame, short, intermediate, and long-term settings down here, you highlight this, and then you come over and you can see I've got this set up for the 60-minute, right? If I click on intermediate, it's set up for the day. And if I click on long, it's set up for the week. Okay, it's that simple. So that's how you can, play around and adjust the settings as you, your trading may change. You may go from a position trader and want to start day trading. So you can change it. It's very easy to do. And then we have the turbo scanner on the far right, which basically is looking at all the ART signals for you on one time frame, not multiple time frames, just on your primary time frame. All right, so let's take a look and see what's cooking here. Let's go to this stock here for a minute, ASPN, and see what's cooking on that one. All right, so on this stock here, notice we have a bullish trade on the intermediate time frame, which is the daily chart here. You do not have a pyramid yet, but it is, starting to pull up off its bottom. So that's a good thing to know. Got a little bit of a congestion here on this, and you don't have a bullish trade here yet. All right, so you got to wait on that one a little bit. So you put that on a watch list. So when you load like the NASDAQ 100 or the S&P 500, and you quickly go down that column, you'll be able to pick out stocks that may be close, maybe not, put it on a watch list. You can create another scanner tab and make those your watch list. So when you find something close but not ready yet, you type it in there and keep a closer eye on it. And that's how you go through all the markets. You can also change the columns to show you the bear ones first, bullish ones, and so forth. Now, if you want to be super strict about things, you can wait until you have all three columns showing the same thing, okay? Or you can just say, well, I'm mostly interested in the short and intermediate because I may want to counter trend trade a long-term trade, and that will put me in correctly for that type of trade. So there's many, many ways in which you can use it, but that's what it does, okay? So I'm so glad you gave me a chance to show you, because this is good for everybody, and I think it's important to basically learn what it is and how it can help you. All right, so that is the multiple time frame scanner. Any other questions on scanners? Anything else? Going once, going twice. One last thing I like to mention, I do like to mention this just about every time. One of the things I want you to realize is that you see this little bad boy here I'm moving around, okay? All right, so on this one here, that's called the risk to reward calculator. That's how we calculate trade size on every trade. What I like to do is if you're using Ninja, I like to move the chart over so I can always have that present. Okay, that way I can use it really quickly. Now, if you're using TradeStation, just move the entire app over, okay, to give it room so you can see it. So I think that's kind of cool, all right, to always do that. All right, REI. So you want to look at REI? REI. Do you want an analysis or do you want to look at it on the scanner? Let's add it in down here, REI. Okay, so give that a second to load. Okay, on REI, there's no trend at all, okay, right now. Okay, everything except a bear trend, I'm sorry. So you have, let me just make sure I got the right one set up. Yeah, okay. So that's the kind of thing on that. You're kind of moving a little down sideways here. So there's no real trade there yet. No real trade. Let's see about an IBM, see what that one's doing. Yeah, you see, this is going up short term. This is nothing here, but you have more of a bearish scenario developing. You have the pyramids pointing down. So there's no, you know, when you have a bullish and a bearish trade all in the same 3 time frames, then probably you've got to pick whether you want this to be a short-term trade, a long-term trade, or not any trade at that point, okay? All right. So Van, hopefully that helps, okay? Does that help? All good there? Okay, great. All right, anybody else? Any other questions? Any other direction? Does anybody need any help in anything? Oh, one more thing, Van, to show you on this, since we're focused on the multiple time frame scanner. When you go to the short intermediate, okay, and we have instructions for all this, so you'll get instructions on this. Do you see this where it says S1 and S2 under scan list? All right, this is the strictness settings. There's actually 3 settings as we explain in the instructions. There's an S1, an S2, and an S3. All right, and it has to do with the software looking at each time frame. And the more of if you have all 3, it's looking at 3 things that must develop or be in place for that scan to produce its result. If you only have 2, like I have, okay, it's only looking at 2 of the possible 3. So it's a little less strict. And if you want it very less strict, you can do this, okay? So it's that type of, so it's the S stands for strictness, basically, okay? So that is, I keep it on S1, S2. That's the default. I think that's generally pretty good. But that's how you change the strictness, and very easy, okay? Trying to think what else you need to know. Bars to load, you want to go back at least 600 bars to get a proper assessment. So that's the bars to load. And again, you know, all this stuff, once you set it, it's done, okay? And then you can create a template for it, and then you're set. Then even if you know, have accidentally delete a workspace or something, you just recreate the workspace, load the template, and you don't have to go through all the settings again because it's memorized it. And this is what our software installer will do for you. They will, you know, install everything for you and set up templates. And this goes for everybody out there on any software you buy from us. We'll set up the templates to make the loading as easy as possible. Now here's the TradeStation platform, okay? And so we have the multiple time frame scanner here running, but on TradeStation, it's a little different. TradeStation does not allow you to segregate the time frame on one column. So if you, what we do on TradeStation is we create a whole tab for each time frame, or if it's a short list, we'll create 3 of the same symbol on the same scanner. Okay, so it's a little different. Gives you the same information though, but it is a little bit different. All right. So anything out there? Anybody want me to look up a stock? This is USO. This is the ETF for oil. We're hoping we got some type of bottom down here, and we're now moving back up here to the target. We have bearishness on the 60, so I'm not so sure we're done messing around in this little target zone. So I don't really quite want to put any people in right now because I think it's at 64.86, and it looks like it probably could dip below 62. However, if this changes on the 60-minute chart to green, then that's a really good sign. So then you can go in. So just kind of hang tight on that one and see. But I do think eventually it'll move back up, but it could go back into the target zone a little bit. It's done that a couple of times already. So kind of interesting. All right, any other scanner? Van, any other scanner you want me to go over? Because I know you're talking to Gene. I think you're talking about getting some scanners. So I just want to make sure I cover the scanners for you. Make sure you're in good shape with that. And let me see if Laurent is here. Laurent, are you here? Not sure he made it. He's way overseas. Laurent, let me just go over, because I think you had some questions on the art software. This is a good example, which is kind of why I want to bring it up. Do you see these blue colored triangles? That's the art system. Now, the art system has 3 studies built into it. So let's just go to the indicators. So when you're dealing, and this is the same for TradeStation too. So here are the 3 indicators that are loaded and are included with the arts software. Okay, you got the art color bars, the art pyramids, and the art reversals. The pyramids draw those triangles on the charts, right? The reversals are high probability pivot points, 1Bs and 2Bs. Those are helpful if you're a scalper. They're also helpful to scale out or even into trends at times. And then you have the color bars, which color the price bars differently than normal charting packages. So what the price bars do is they look at the price bar, okay, and if this closes, all right, below the 50% mark, then that means the bears are in control, and that would be a bearish bar no matter where the open was. So on normal packages, this would be a bearish bar too, right? Because the close is lower than the open. But let's change the open for a minute. And if you had the open here, this would still be a bearish bar on our system. And the reason for that, think about it. If it opened here and closed here, look at what happened. It opened, the bulls came in, drove it way up here, but could not keep it there. Instead, the bears came in, drove it below the midway point and closed it under the halfway point of the bars. So really, at the close, the bears were in control. So that labels that as a bearish price bar. I have found that that works a lot better in its accuracy than where it closes in relation to the open. Because if the bulls were in control on this, they would have kept it high. They would have kept it at the top of the price bar. So that is the kind of stuff going on with the art software. Now, the art software behind the scenes, when it draws those pyramids, is looking at a lot of information that you're not aware of. All right, it's not just drawing a fancy triangle. It's also looking at a couple things. One is it's analyzing the price pattern. All right, the other thing it's doing is it's looking at the momentum that went into creating that price pattern. And if the momentum's not there, it's not going to begin to draw. Now, on this one here, they're blue in color. You may have, the default is yellow. I put blue up here so you can see it on the webinar. But if you have either a yellow or blue one, however you have it set up, you can pick any color you want. If it's not a confirmed pyramid, in other words, if it's not green or red, green for bullish, red for bearish, then that means it's unconfirmed. It's forming. It's not giving you a signal yet. The signal will not be generated until the market breaks out of this consolidation. So the pyramids have done a great job on this, highlighting the consolidation. So the top of the consolidation is at the flat part of this triangle. The bottom of the consolidation is here. And then we have an in-between here. Okay. So it's kind of the consolidation C is narrowing a little bit. So the pyramids are doing a great job tracking the consolidation. Now, if this bullishness continues and it goes above the point of the pyramid, then that's going to turn that bullish and put a P here. This bearish one will disappear. Once when you have an unconfirmed pyramid and prices go on the other side of the flat part of the pyramid, it disappears because at that particular point, prices have gone up, not down, past the key level of support that created that flat part or base leg of the pyramid. And that's how it works. Now, an additional filter, what we like to do is we don't like to go long until this is green, okay? And this is red. So here's where multiple time frame analysis comes in. Because this is red, even if this formed a P pyramid, I'm not going to take it. And the reason for it is I got to wait for this green, this red PTF to either turn green or yellow. And this is green, so that's good. And this needs to turn green. And so why do I wait? Well, the reason I wait is because a lot of times you get fake breakouts and then you get a pull down. These indicators tend to filter that out for you. So when it's a real breakout, it's going to be bullish, and those indicators will be bullish, and you'll be good to go. All right, so that's kind of just an extra box we like to check before we actually take a trade. So it's all about structure. It's having all the dots connected, or at least a majority of them, before you take the trade. The clarity, the whole 9 yards is a key. All right, so that kind of structure makes a huge difference. Combine that with using the risk reward calculator for risk control, and you've got all the dots connected. So that's kind of where you want to go with that. All right, any other questions? Going once, going twice. We're almost done for today. I like to keep these sessions half an hour. It's market hours. I know people are busy, but it is important to me that I field all the questions. And we're here every Wednesday. And the purpose of these are really to handle and answer any questions you have on our software or our courses. That way you're not left out in the dark. And also to teach you how to use it, and also to teach you maybe something about trading and certain stocks. Sometimes we just spend the whole half an hour looking at stocks, but you can learn a lot because you'll see how I use the tools and analyze, a particular potential trade. And this is also what I do during our YouTube sessions on Stock Analysis Fridays. And so many of you, of course, are invited to that. It's free. Okay, it's right on YouTube. I think we put it on Facebook and LinkedIn too. Most people go to YouTube though, so you can check that out. And we're usually there half an hour to an hour. It's almost like a stock picking service by the time we're done, because everybody brings a couple stocks. We look it up in real time, and we usually find some pretty good ones. All right. Al, you found some really good ones lately. Al has really focused on, we all trade our belief systems a little bit. My belief system is I like to get into markets that are starting a new trend. So I look for markets that are bottoming or topping. Some people like to go with the current momentum. So they look for something a little bit different. Okay, that type of thing. No, Al, we are on this Friday. It was last Friday. I was on vacation last Friday. So we are on this Friday. Okay. So it is this Friday, and if you look at if you're subscribed to our channel, you should have a notification from us. If you hit the bell, you got to hit that little bell on YouTube. So if you hit the bell, it will notify you when the next session is, okay? So make sure you hit that bell. That's the whole purpose of the bell, I guess. All right, a lot of bells and whistles over there. All right, so definitely check that, and then you won't ever miss one. Okay. All right, so that is it for today. Van, I hope I was able to help you. I think I was. It looks like all is good there. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And we'll see you back here next Wednesday, okay? And the recording will be posted in the YouTube area, but you have to access that through the Customer Hub area because we keep all these private, okay? We don't open up these to the public, so they're unlisted, but you have access through Customer Hub, which is our portal, you know, where you log in. All right, gonna go. Have a good one, and we'll see you back here next week. Bye-bye, everybody.